citizens slipping on the road. Software glitches selling out our souls. One vote stole, another voice gone cold. In the heart of the battle, the truth unfolds. Foreign hands grabbing data by the millions. Names and numbers in the shadows, building their pavilions. But the people are rising, demanding the light. Proof in the system, standing up for what's right. Watch the towers, hear the thunder roll. Signs are screaming, shaking every soul. From the straits of fire to the halls of power, redemption's calling in this final hour. Stay alert, keep your eyes on high. Truth is rising, no more living lies. Echoes in the watchtower, ringing through the night. The ancient stones are crying, turning dark to light. Strikes in the desert, drones across the sea. Powers clashing where the oil rivers bleed. Warnings from the mountain hidden deep below. Negotiations falter as the tensions grow. Bridges and power plants, lines drawn in the sand. Leaders shifting borders with a steady hand. Fraud in the payments, dead names on the dole. Cleaning up the chaos, taking back control. Watch the towers, hear the thunder roll. Signs are screaming, shaking every soul. From the straits of fire to the halls of power, redemption's calling in this final hour. Stay alert, keep your eyes on high. Truth is rising, no more living lies. Echoes in the watchtower, ringing through the night. The ancient stones are crying, dark to light. Morning turns to morning on the 9th of sorrow. Temples fallen yesterday, hope returns tomorrow. From the ashes rising, what the prophets saw. A king from David's line, enforcing heaven's law. No more deception, no more hidden schemes. The veil is lifting on our wildest dreams. Primaries turning, candidates align. Farm fields and borders drawing clearer lines. Flights reopening over troubled lands. Winds of change moving across the sands. Watch the towers, feel the spirit call. Every headline written on the writing wall. Echoes in the watchtower, louder than before. The Lamb is coming, hear the lion roar. Echoes in the watchtower. Truth is rising in this final hour. Keep watching, keep watching.
Yeah, I know. I said I might not play music on Tish B'Av. Tisha B'Av, just because the Jews don't listen to it. They consider it a time of mourning. And I got to thinking, Tish B'Av is about the destruction of the temples. Jesus said, tear down this temple, and in 3 days I'd raise it up again. He was talking about his body. We now know today that the body of Christ is what makes up the temple. So it's not a time for us to mourn. It's a time for us to rejoice. And I'm not saying that we should change the holiday or anything like that. But I just thought it was worth playing some music to commemorate the day as well as the news. And you may have noticed I discovered a new toy, PowerPoint. I figured out how to turn news briefings in PowerPoint. So this is going to be fun. Let's see what we can do with this. I'm got to juggle now, but I'm hoping this adds a little context to our news. Just try and spice things up again. Spice things up a little bit. All right, first up, we have election integrity developments. New Jersey Governor Mike Sherrill admitted that a state motor vehicle commission software error registered roughly 6,600 non-citizens to vote between 2023 and 2024. Interesting time period, don't you say? Nearly 400 of them, these voting errors registered at a critical time. Nearly 400 of them cast ballots. Sherrill deflected blame toward the previous administration and criticized President Trump on election integrity. What? DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen warned this may represent only a fraction of the problem. You think? Estimating up to 35,000 potential non-citizens registered in New Jersey alone. One illegal vote cancels a legal citizen's vote. The software vendor is Ademia. They pushed back, stating its role is limited to transmitting data. The State Division of Elections handles eligibility verification. In a notable shift, Democratic New Jersey Assemblyman James Hawley, who co-sponsored the state's DMV voter registration program, now supports the Federal SAVE Act. Good for him. He called for pausing the state program until stronger safeguards are in place, as he should. All right, moving on to the SAVE Act. SAVE Act progress. Speaker Mike Johnson advanced a key procedural vote to attach election integrity funding from the Save America Act into a larger $95 billion budget reconciliation package. The measure includes $10 billion for states to implement voter ID and proof of citizenship requirements. The House voted largely along party lines to move forward. Reconciliation allows passage with a simple majority by passing a Senate filibuster for certain fiscal elements. The package also includes funding for the Iran conflict and farm aid. A framework vote is expected soon. China voter data and election interferences. President Trump declassified document showing China obtained 220 million American voter registration files. U.S. intelligence views acquisition of such data as election interference. Obviously, media coverage largely downplayed it as old news, despite past indictments of China and Iran for smaller breaches. Security experts note the files contain sensitive details beyond commercial data. Former officials emphasize risks, including targeted influence operations. And moving on, let's see, so that is, there you go, ongoing U.S.-Iran conflict. The U.S. conducted its 11th consecutive night of strikes on Iranian targets, focusing on aircraft, drone sites, and infrastructure, threatening shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran responded with drone attacks on U.S.-linked facilities in Kuwait, Jordan, and Bahrain. President Trump warned of greater action, including potential strikes on the suspected underground nuclear site referred to as Pickaxe Mountain. We're going to impact global oil prices. Let's see. Other Trump administration actions. President Trump directed the resumption of direct U.S. commercial flights to Lebanon for the first time in over 40 years. Interesting. Following a meeting with Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, the prior restriction dated to 1985. The administration is expanding the do not pay system to proactively block improper federal payments, already saving nearly $100 million by stopping disbursements to deceased individuals. Interesting. Trump announced he would review a Republican bill offering legal status pathways to certain illegal immigrants in agriculture and related industry. Moving on to, I guess we're still talking about Arizona right here. Arizona primaries. Trump endorsed candidates. Actually, here, we'll move my face over there so you can see the Arizona primaries. Trump endorsed candidates performed strongly in Arizona primaries. Former NFL kicker Jay Feely won the Republican nomination in the 1st Congressional District. In the 5th District, former Sheriff Mark Lamb secured the nod. Rep. Andy Biggs won the GOP I can't say this word. Gubernatorial. There you go. Gubernatorial primary. All right, let's move on to Tisha B'Av. Put me back over here. So today marks the start of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which is a solemn fast day commemorating the destruction of both Jewish temples and other historical tragedies. It begins at sundown today, July 22nd, and ends at nightfall on July 23rd. Traditional observances include fasting, reading Lamentations, and mourning. Some traditions hold it as a date tied to future redemption. Interesting. Interesting that it comes right before August 12th. That date keeps staring us in the face. It'll be interesting to see what happens on that day. Additional context, these stories highlight ongoing national debate over election security, foreign conflict, and biblical and prophetic echoes, and policy shifts under current administration. We want to stay watchful as the events unfold. Some things that we are watching: election security, legislative push, Middle East flashpoints, and prophetic timing. The key is to keep watching. The signs of the times continue to unfold. Stay alert. I think that's the last slide. What do you guys think? Do the slides add anything? It's kind of hard to juggle, but I thought it would be fun. I want to actually start adding in like legit news pictures so you can actually see what it is that I'm talking about, so you're not necessarily looking at my ugly mug while I'm talking. All right, speaking of ugly mug, how you guys doing? I know, it's been crazy. I really wanted to get back on yesterday and go through the Torment Report because there were some interesting things. We'll probably get to them today. We'll see. But in the meantime, I have a video that Fury sent me from Rabbi Isser Z. Weisberg that looked interesting. He was covering some interesting things. So some of the stuff he's sharing in here. Let's see. Political leaders as instruments of higher directives. Reemergence of Persia via modern Iran and its proxies. So he's got some good stuff he's talking about in here. The prophecy in the Zohar. The midrastic perspective. And reconciling the conflicting prophecies and mixed signals. Sounded pretty interesting. One thing before we get to this, though, I wanted to read Jeremiah. Let me go find this. Let me go find my notes. So, Jeremiah 49. We're going to read this first. Jeremiah. Let me find my Bible. Okay. And we're going to Jeremiah 49. Let's read 34 through 39. The judgment of Elam. So the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, the prophet, against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, "Thus says the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the foremosts of their might. Against Elam I will bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and scatter them toward all those winds. There shall be no nations where the outcasts of Elam will not go, for I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies, and before those who seek their life. I will bring disaster upon them, my fierce anger, says the Lord, and I will send the sword after them until I have consumed them. I will set my throne and Elam, and will destroy from there the king and the princes, says the Lord. But it shall come to pass in the latter days, I will bring back the captives of Elam, says the Lord. And the reason this came up is because of the talk from Donald Trump about bombing their nuclear site. So there's some this idea that the nuclear power plant, it's not really an idea. I'll read to you what I was able to discover about this. But apparently the nuclear power plant in Iran sits directly in the ancient province of Elam. This is Trump's target and a possible fulfillment of prophecy. So, yes. So this is, from what I can tell, is Iran's main operating nuclear plant in Bushehr is on the Persian Gulf coast. This is an ancient Elamite, so there's ancient Elamite influence extended to Bushehr, to the Bushehr area. Example, the Elamite city settlement of Leon near modern Bushehr, with archaeological evidence of Elamite presence in the province during the 2nd to 1st millennia BCE. Surveys confirm Elamite sites and pottery in Bushehr hinterlands. However, the core of ancient Elam, especially in prophetic context, is more precisely in Khuzestan province, which is Susa. There are other nuclear-related sites like Darkhoven, under construction, also in Khuzestan, are closer to the traditional Elamite heartland. So Bushehr is on the fringes of historical Elamite territory, not the absolute center. This claim stretches it a bit for dramatic effect, I think, but it's interesting to look into. So Trump's target and prophetic fulfillment. Trump has been kind of hawkish on Iran's nuclear program with threats, sanctions, and in recent reported events, U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear and military sites amid escalating tensions. Let's see. What else? It is interesting. The hyper focused on the nuclear and the correlation with Elam. So this is something that we'll be watching. And if I remember correctly, kind of comes up in this video we're about to watch. Let's see. Let's see what he's got to say. Let's just start this here. So what's the rabbi got to say? What is going on?
Hi, everybody. It's been a long time. Sorry. A lot to talk about. It looks like Trump is completely off the rails. He's doing insane things. Embracing Turkey.
I do get that. When people look at him, they think he's completely off the rails. But you could say the same thing about many men of God, especially Elijah. Like, do you guys remember when Elijah was challenging the 450 prophets of Baal? Let's have a contest and see whose God answers. And he was dousing his altar with water. Elijah seemed like he was off the rails. So I find it comical that he would make this kind of a comment that Trump appears to be off the rails. Although it is those who he torments take this position quite often. Often the things God gives us to do makes us seem like the crazy ones. I think you could draw the correlation with our channel. Most people who come here who don't understand the base that we've built and the things that we've studied. I mean, just consider Antichrist. People hear, my opinion on Antichrists, that it's not the same as the fantasy the world tells, and people lose their stuff. Likewise with Donald Trump and Elon Musk as the two witnesses. Oh my God. Clearly, I've never read the Bible. That's usually what people think. No, dude. We were told to watch. The signs point to us being at a particular time in the timeline, and the two witnesses should be here. And right now, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are the two who fit the attributes the best. I could be wrong. It could be a coincidence, but still. Anyway, let's continue listening.
capitulating and surrendering to Iran. Even what he's doing now, like all these attacks that he's doing, it's obvious he has no intention of crushing the regime. It's obvious his intention is just to get them back to the negotiating table to sign a stupid agreement, which they have no intention of keeping, and he knows they have no.
You know, it's funny that he makes this comment that he has no intention of crushing the regime. He doesn't know that. You know, if there's one thing that Donald Trump has learned over the last, I don't know, decade, is that one thing I've noticed is that he follows legal procedure. And I think it's because he has learned he's gotten so masterful at not giving an occasion for someone to bring a word against him. So in other words, he does everything that he has the full legal and spiritual authority to enact and to do. And what he's doing with Iran is he's just following the legal steps. You know, he's given them the opportunity. They fall back on it. They're the ones in error. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he's the one bruising the head of the serpent. Which he makes an interesting point in this video about Mashiach comes back and it's not necessarily in the same body, which is an interesting comment. We'll talk about it when we get there. If I can keep my mouth shut long enough for us to watch this video.
Intention of keeping. He changes his minds 100 times. They're good people. They're reasonable people. They're crazy people. They're scum. We could deal with them. We did deal with them. We did finish them off. We're going to finish them off. He really sounds like he's retarded. He's not. But it really sounds that way. It looks like he's throwing Israel under the bus. He's embracing crazy dictators. He loves Erdogan. Netanyahu's crazy. Netanyahu does crazy things. He's the boss. Israel has to listen to him. What's going on here? So let's start from the beginning because, first of all, as I told you many times, Trump is you can't look at him as a human being that makes decisions on his own. At least, I mean, in his private life he is, but in his role as the President of the United States, which is the superpower of the world, you have to look at him like an image on your computer screen or like a pixel. If you have images on your computer screen that are acting silly, you don't ask the pixels why you're doing that. You want to know what the program is telling them to do. And if you want to know why the program is telling them to do that, you will have to know why the programmer programmed the program that way. So everything Trump is doing is basically, he has a mandate, and there are many different directives, and some of them conflict with each other. And he has all different kinds of things because we're very, very close. If you watch my previous videos about the end times, you know we're very, very close. I'm not going to repeat it here. A lot of stuff has to be accomplished. There's a lot of loose ends to tie up, and he has a lot of things that have to be done, and some of them are contradictory. We're going to go through a couple of them. I'll make a couple of videos. I don't want each one to be too long, but you'll understand everything he's doing that it makes a lot of sense. And what he's doing is actually exactly what he's supposed to be doing, and actually what was prophesied that he's going to be doing. And these prophecies go back a long time. Some of them to the books of the prophets, maybe 2,500 years ago. Some of them to the books of the Talmud, maybe 1,500.
I love the fact that he recognizes that we're living in the days of prophecy. That while there may be men who seem like they're doing crazy things, they're doing what God gave them to do. I love it.
1,000 years ago. So let's start from the beginning. I started doing these videos in 2020, and that was election season.
A lot of us started doing videos in 2020. I swear there was a global call to action for those who were listening.
Before the election, and I predicted there that Trump has to be back in the White House, so he'll win the election. And even after it seemed like he lost the election, I said he has to be back in the White House. Maybe it will be revealed that this election wasn't an honest election, or he'll be back another term, but he has to be back.
There was a lot of us saying that, and there were a lot of people who marked themselves as false prophets. I saw this. I've said his name on here before. I don't like naming people just because I've made errors too, and I don't want to be labeled by my errors, so I don't want to label people according to their errors. But suffice it to say, there were a lot of people who took liberties with the things that they could discern spiritually. There were a lot of people who knew Trump needed to be back in the White House. And the Holy Spirit may have been telling them that he was going to be back in the White House, but they embellished quite a lot about him being in the White House. I remember specifically people who call themselves watchmen making videos that the military was going to come in and reinstall Donald Trump, that his then VP was going to set everything straight, that he was going to cast the vote to decide that Donald Trump was going to. There's just a lot of these people. They exposed themselves. Hopefully they learned and changed, because I do believe we have a merciful God, and that those who make mistakes, when they own up to those mistakes, are forgiven. If they want to maintain their ego and their pride, well, they're probably going to suffer consequences. But I've seen some of them. I've seen, this guy that I'm thinking of very specifically, I haven't seen him make those same mistakes. So I think he learned his lesson. I think we all learned. But yeah, I get what he's saying, that it was clear that at the time that there was something spiritual going on with the election, and that God was moving mightily. What I think a lot of us misinterpreted is we presumed to know what God needed to happen, and considering that this is a failure to watch what information. There's a failure to watch and correlate it with what's written. It is the book of Revelation is widely available, and those who chose to read it eventually learned that the Biden administration was necessary for the end times. It was a vital part of seal number 2. And if, people were paying attention, they would have realized that God was screaming from the heavens quite literally, or at least the living creatures were. That particular one was Ophiuchus, screaming from the heavens, saying, "Come and see." And those who noticed that on the day that they declared Joe Biden the winner of the election, the heavens were screaming. Apparently, that's what an eclipse means. It's like God's exclamation mark. It means pay attention. It means come and see.
And I produced many videos talking about his divine mission. And he was chosen by God, and when he was nearly assassinated, and it was a divine miracle, and it was an open miracle. And
I can't wait until these guys realize, the Jews and from the Old Testament, I would love to find someone who has recognized that the two anointed ones who stand before the Lord of the whole earth. I'd love to find some of these rabbis, if any of them recognize we're in Zechariah 4 and 5. I've yet to find anybody, and maybe it's just because I'm not really searching, but I have yet to find anybody who acknowledges we're living Zechariah 4 and 5 right now. You would think Torah experts would or not Torah, Tanakh experts would know that.
Chosen, and now it looks like people are asking me, like, what's happening to Trump? I thought he was chosen to do good things for Israel. He's doing terrible things. He's ignoring them. He's forcing them to ceasefires and to concessions with Hezbollah, with Hamas. What's going on with this guy? So let me.
Oh man, along those lines. Sorry, I'm interrupting him a lot because he speaks so monotone that it's I'm trying to add some entertainment value to this video. Plus, I have a lot to say today. I'm still kind of double clutching on Elon Musk with the way that the world is coming against Benjamin Netanyahu right now. Is it possible that I'm just missing him speaking daily? Maybe we need to investigate a little bit more, because the way they're coming against Benjamin Netanyahu and the way that Donald Trump is defending him, it's making me wonder if we've got Elon right or not. It's just, man, every time I get this way and I'm like, could it be Benjamin Netanyahu? And I go and try and suss it out. For a while there, we were even reading his posts, and he doesn't do daily posts, not in the same way that Donald Trump and Elon Musk's do. But maybe I'm missing it. Maybe if I was in Israel, maybe he's more vocal on a daily basis. But I'm starting to double clutch again. Yes, he does speak daily, but in Hebrew. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because I don't speak Hebrew that's where I'm missing it. Maybe we should do some research and investigation to see if he's maintained a consistent daily presence in Hebrew. Because I might be missing it on Elon. I mean, granted, Elon has done great things, and he is to be credited with our freedom. Because Donald Trump would not be president, and I don't think we'd have this channel right now if it weren't for Elon Musk. So he still definitely fits some of those attributes, but something in me keeps saying it's Trump and Netanyahu are the two that we should be paying attention to. But maybe it's just was never meant for, maybe the two witnesses wasn't meant for everybody to pay attention to the prophecies of both of them at the same time. Maybe maybe what it is that they're doing was intended for two different groups of people. And only those who speak English and Hebrew were smart enough to figure it out. My biggest regret is not learning Hebrew. All right.
Explain it to you. Let's start. The prophecy that I mentioned early on in one of my very first videos, going back 6 years now, was a prophetic statement in the Talmud, in Tractate Chuba, page 10a. So the Talmud says over there that in the future, right before Mashiach comes, we're all familiar with the prophecies in Daniel in chapter 7 about the four great kingdoms that are going to control the Jewish people from the time of that prophecy until the time of Mashiach. And it talks about the kingdom of Babylon and the kingdom of Persia and the kingdom of Greece and the kingdom of Rome. So it says from all those four kingdoms, Babylon and Greece are going to be they're going to be destroyed. We know Persia took over the Babylonian Empire, and the Greeks took over the Persian Empire, and then the Romans took over the Greek Empire. But the Talmud says that even so, the Persian Empire is going to remain or be around at the end of days in some form or another. And the dominating empire is going to be the Empire of Rome. So the Gemara has a question: we have a tradition that before Mashiach comes, there's only one empire, and that falls right before he comes, and then the empire of Mashiach takes over. So that's a tradition that we have. So which one of the two is going to be the last one standing? So the Gemara says, will it be Persia or will it be Babylon? It's a dispute. It's a dispute in the Talmud, and it seems like the Talmud is saying that that probably the way it's going to happen is that Rome is going to take down the Persian Empire, and Rome will be the last standing empire, and then Rome will fall, and then it will be the kingdom of Mashiach.
So my question about that, though, is it doesn't really fit with Revelation 13. It does. I agree with him about Rome. I think Rome, well, we know from Revelation 17 that the harlot that's riding the beasts, I believe we're all in agreement that is Rome. But the beast itself is not Rome. I guess it probably it is. I do think it's true that Rome ceased being an empire and became a religion, but really technically it still is. It's almost a global empire controlled by a religion. That's probably a much better way of describing it. Rome is a global superpower controlled by a religion, which is the Roman Catholic Church. And the United States, I do believe, is part of that global control structure. So when it talks about the seven mountains, I think that's what it's referring to when it says, then I stood on the sands of the sea and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, because sea is defined as people, nations, and tongues, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And then later in Revelation 17, when it talks about the harlot riding the beasts, then one of the 7 angels who had 7 blah, 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 blah. So he carried me, where is it? Mystery Babylon. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints. Boy, is the Catholic Church accredited with a lot of blood they've got a lot of blood on their hands. And with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, that's a callback, I believe, to seal number 5. Right? How much longer, Lord, until vengeance? When I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. But the angel said to me, why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her. And this is one of the reasons, the mystery of the woman is one of the reasons I think the 144,000, when it calls them virgins, that it's not a sexual virginity, that it's a spiritual virginity, and that these are the 144,000 who have maintained their beliefs from childhood. That they didn't go whoring to other religions and beliefs. I think there's an association there, and I think you can make a case with, Rome being associated with the woman, religions being associated with a woman, and the beasts being associated with the kingdoms, the countries, the governments, and the things like United Nations and the G7 and stuff like that. So it's the Roman Catholic Church, the religion controls the primary countries, the democratic countries, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw and is not and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition, and those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. When they see the beast that was and is not and yet is, I don't know what that means. Like, are these... some people seem... I don't know if I'm dumb or if other people are dumb. To me, I feel like we see this right now, but very few people see this. So when it talks about when they finally see this, it's just like, are they going to be sat down and watched a play-by-play of what they missed? Because I feel that way with some people. Don't you? Don't you feel like you got to sit down and handhold people with the things that are happening? I feel like that day is coming. Maybe it's the day of judgment. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There's multiple things that can correlate with. There's 7 mountains in Rome. There's a lot of things that can mean 7 mountains, but it's definitely correlated with the beast with 7 heads. There are also 7 kings. So it's interesting that it makes a distinction here between mountains and kings, because beast can refer to kingdoms, which typically encompasses their kingdom as well. But it's interesting that it divides that it specifically calls both out, there's 7 mountains, but also 7 kings. Anyway, we'll get into a whole nother teaching if we do this. Let's continue with his points.
So what I said was I explained how I know that the United States is the last manifestation of the Roman Empire, and that means the United States is going to take down Iran, which is the representation of the Persian Empire.
I guess my point is I don't think the United States of itself is the last manifestation of the Roman Empire. I think it's broader than that based on Revelation 13. I think that there's probably 7 nations that are the last manifestation of the Roman Empire, but controlled by that woman, controlled by that religion. That is more, to me, sounds more likely to be, and it makes sense too, because probably what he's referring to is the very last manifestation will likely be the union between the United States and the United Kingdom, which encompasses Italy, Rome. And the reason I say that is because I don't think we've seen the full impact of seal number 3, that yoking together of the United States and the United Kingdom. Total guess on my part right now, but it's just like when I see 2 things happen and there's not a lot of explanation, it's kind of like you see beasts yoked up to plow the field. There's got to be a field. There's got to be a purpose for that, and I don't know if I can really put my finger on what happened. I mean, I guess you could argue that that's what's been happening since Seal 3, that the world has been being worked like the fields, with the dirt being cut through and turned over in order to prepare it. But it's just because that's the beast with the beast from the land. I'm inclined to think that there might be an association there. Just a guess on my part, just waiting for something to, either confirm or deny what it is that I'm seeing. But I don't know if he's necessarily right that the United States is the last manifestation of Rome. I think that is severely uninformed.
And I explained why we see, for example, that the Persian Empire was resurrected, because the Persian Empire was gone centuries ago. But when the radical Islamic regime took over in 1979, they decided that it wasn't enough, to control the country. They have to have kind of an empire. An empire means that they control other countries, proxies.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So that's why they went about, because they have a mission, they have to be an empire, because the empire of Persia, not the country of Persia, the empire of Persia has to fall. So that's why they started making proxies, where spreading their tentacles in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq, in Lebanon, and of course in Gaza. So that was the kind of a resurrection of some semblance of an empire, and they're going to be taken down by Rome. And since Trump didn't,
is there a chance that I've completely got the beast from the sea wrong? Maybe it's not a union of democratic countries. Maybe it's more aligned with Iran. Could that be the beast from the sea? They're not democratic. They're, the Muslim countries are way stricter. I don't know. I can't imagine it any way that would fit. But it sounds like that's what he's saying, right? It sounds like they're the ones that have ruled, and that, the last manifestation of Rome is going to do away with that. I think he's missing some things. I could be wrong, but it seems like he doesn't have this quite right.
Accomplish that in his first term, and this prophecy has to be fulfilled. So I said, and it didn't. And if Biden for sure is not going to be the one to do that. I mean, God could do anything, but usually he likes to work within the realm of nature. So why choose somebody who is totally against his nature to fight? I mean, Biden and Obama, Biden was a continuation of Obama's third term. Everybody understood that he wasn't really doing much, and it was basically a third term of Obama. So he's the one who supported Iran. So he's not going to be the one to take them down. Now, again, God could change his mind, but Hashem usually tries to work within the realm of nature. So it made much more sense Trump was the right guy to do that. So that's how I predicted that he would be back, and that prediction was, of course, correct. And that's why, it seemed like everything was going according to plan, because there was the 12-day war.
I haven't visited Esdras Eagle in a while to see if there's any additional information from that. We should do that again. Maybe next time we do a timeline update, we'll include Esdras Eagle in that. Which
at the end, the United States joined with their B-2s and with their bunker busters, and they took down these nuclear facilities. They obliterated them, in Trump words. And then there was the 40-day war, in which America and Israel worked together with incredible unity, basically not even as allies, but as one army with two separate brigades. And everything was going according to plan. Trump was working to take down Iran, and then suddenly there was a ceasefire, and Trump seemed like he was getting cold feet, and he stopped the war. And then he started negotiations, and all that sounds retarded, because how could you negotiate with these crazy guys? Everybody knows they don't keep a word that they say, or that they write, or that they sign. That means nothing to them. And they have their, the crazy eschatology about the end of days and their Messiah and stuff like that. And there's no way that they would ever agree to stop producing all the weapons, the nuclear, the conventional weapons, the ballistic missiles, any agreement that they make. Maybe they'd be scared of Trump, so they'll wait till he's out of office, but they're not going to do any agreements. So,
and here's the thing: he knows that. Do you seriously think that Donald Trump is not informed about the Iranian mentality? He probably knows more about Iran and the regime than we do. He's been talking about this for 3 decades, probably longer. He's been planning this. God has been putting this on his heart, preparing him for this day. Obviously, he knew that they were not going to uphold their end of the bargain. It's so funny that people, they think that Trump's an idiot. Like, I don't know. I guess everything they see that Trump does, when you this is the problem with labels. When you label somebody an idiot in one thing, it blinds you to everything. I'm not saying he's perfect. Clearly not. None of us are. Like I said, we all make mistakes, and we all should own up to it. That way nobody's thinking that somebody's more perfect than the others. When you realize that everybody's just as dumb as you are, it makes life so much easier. You have less issues with ego, pride, and shame. Anyway, but yeah, let's continue.
the whole idea of negotiating with them is insane. It's also kind of evil, because you're saying to the world that these people are normal people that I could talk to, and they're really monsters, especially after they killed, who knows, 30, 40, 50,000 people of their own people.
Well, and that's the thing, is like, you would think that after they killed 50,000 people, Trump would drop a nuclear bomb on them. But he didn't. There is something else. And he's outright said this so many times, that only a stupid person tells them their strategy. He clearly has a strategy that him and his team alone are aware of. This is not something he's sharing with the world. This is a sit back and watch God work moments. What's that saying? Better to stay quiet and let people think you're an idiot than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
They're vicious, bloodthirsty, insane people. That it's not even morally correct to dignify them by saying that I can negotiate them and I can talk to them. So the whole idea of signing any agreement with them is basically, there's no other word to say it. It's evil, because you're supporting evil, and you're legitimizing evil, and you're saying that.
I think Trump is building a legal case, both in the physical world and the spiritual world. I think he is building a spiritual legal case against Iran,
giving legitimacy to every.
And I think that's part of what people miss when you don't see with your eyes and hear with your ears, your spiritual eyes and your spiritual ears. You're going to be confused by the things that are only public.
Diabolical jihadist force, on this planet, to continue operating. So, what's going on? Why did he do that? So let's talk about a couple of other prophecies that Trump has to deal with, because they're and that are controlling what he does. So we have that prophecy that Trump has to take down Persia.
Prophecies that he has to deal with and that are controlling the things that he does. Yeah, I like that.
But there's another prophecy, and this is in the Zohar, in the book 3, page 166. Very, very fascinating Zohar over there. It says that the Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, who's the primary author of the Zohar, he didn't actually write it. His students write it, but it's his teachings. And he said that he met the dean of there's a yeshiva where they learn Torah in Shemayim, in heaven, and they have academies there with the greatest sages who ever lived are in that academy. And there's a dean and there's a Rosh Yeshiva of that academy. So the Rashbi says he had the Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. He often ascended into heaven, and he spoke with the sages who are in heaven, who had already passed away from this world. He was able to go there and speak to them. And he met the dean of the academy in heaven. And the dean was very excited. He says, "You know what? I just had an interesting discussion with Mashiach himself, and I want to share it with you." So he goes on to say, he says, "The Mashiach told me that he had a vision."
I always have my skeptic ears on when I hear those words, that somebody has spoken to Mashiach, to the Messiah, to Jesus. I think I've gotten more better at empathizing with them, but I still have my this really happened ears on.
And the vision was identical to a vision that Daniel had.
There is a difference. So I will make the distinction here that there is definitely a difference between a vision about something that happens and somebody claiming it to happen for real. I think I'm most skeptical about the people who say they carry on conversations with Jesus or the Messiah on a regular basis, and they're privy to special information. To me, that's a red flag for what Jesus warned about in Matthew 24. Many will come in my name, saying they are the Messiah. To me, that's the red flag that he warned about. However, I will say that it's almost like the rules are different in a vision. When somebody is receiving revelation or information in a vision, I think it's probably acceptable that they are speaking with somebody who they believe to be the Messiah in order to understand what's going on. Less skeptical about that than somebody trying to say that they're anointed and that they have special access. You know what I mean?
In Daniel chapter 5, there's a famous vision that there was handwriting on the wall in the palace of Belshazzar. He took over after Nebuchadnezzar and the empire of Babylon. And a fiery hand came out from heaven and wrote on the wall the Hebrew words "Menei Menei Tekalu Farsin," which means and nobody knew what it meant. And Daniel came and he translated. He explained what it means, and he said that God is giving you a message. Menei means that God counted, and he calculated how long your kingdom should last. Tekel, he weighed how your merits and how long you deserve to remain in power. And he found you lacking, and he decided that he's going to end it. Well, farsin, the Hebrew word has really two meanings. The farsin means to break or to split. So Daniel told him that God decided to break up your kingdom. But the word of parsin also has the word paras in it, Persia. So Daniel told him that your kingdom is going to be broken apart. In other words, you're going to lose it. And it's going to be through Persia. And that's exactly what happened. That very night, the Persians came and killed him and took over the empire. So Mashiach tells the Dean in heaven, and he says, I saw the same vision. So the Dean asked him, but what does it mean for you? I mean, it's, that's old history. What does it mean to you? So he says, to me, it means as follows. Now you have to understand, he says that that the word of parsin is a plural. It means two parases. And because it means two parases, so that word has a double meaning. It means to break. So paras could be to break, and paras could be to add Persia. So parsin is the plural. It means that God is saying that you read this word twice. It has two meanings. One, that your kingdom is going to be broken, and who's going to break it? It's going to be paras. So he said, for me, it means as follows. For me, it means that the last kingdom. So then Daniel was addressing the Babylonian kingdom. He says, Mashiach he says, my role is to take down the kingdom of Edom, the Roman Empire. So he says that that it was measured, and it was found that it has to be destroyed and broken, is going on. For me, the message is, my vision means that I'm going to be involved in taking down the Roman Empire. And then he says that the Roman Empire is going to be taken down not by Persia, but it's going to be taken down by Mashiach. We'll explain it a little later. It can be taken by Mashiach, but Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach actually comes twice. We spoke about this in previous videos. The first time he comes is to accomplish part of the process of redemption. Then he comes back to finish it. His first coming, he's called Mashiach ben Yosef. I'm not going to go into it.
Is this a messianic? Is this a... Does he believe Jesus is the Messiah? Who is this guy? Like, that's not a common belief with Jews, that in my experience. Like, Tovia would never say that. He would never say the Messiah comes twice. Matter of fact, he argues against it, that when the Messiah comes, ABC is going to happen. Well, I think this guy's more right, and that Messiah does come twice.
Now, why in the second time it's called Mashiach ben David? It's basically the same soul that comes back twice. Not necessarily in the same body, but the same soul.
See, that's the other thing that he said, not necessarily the same body. Isn't that an interesting concept? Like, so maybe he came the first time, and this because don't you ever wonder why he's been gone for 2,000 years? Is there a division between worlds? Has he just been busy building rooms because it says that he was going to prepare a place for us? Is it that, I've heard about transcendence, like there's this Jewish idea about transcending realms? Is it that he, has to wait for something to happen before he can go from one realm to another? So it's really interesting that he says this, that it's not necessarily in the same body. And that also calls into question Elijah. So, when Elijah came, the second time he was on John the Baptist. So does that mean when he comes the third time that this is some kind of a spirit that kind of cohabitates with the person? Does it replace the person? Same thing with Jesus, the Messiah. Because what's interesting about this timeline is we were just reading recently in Revelation 4 and 5, like there's a definite birth here. Like the Messiah has to come because all of heaven is just like, oh, woe is me. There's no one capable of opening the book that's sealed. And then suddenly there it is. So it's like there's kind of a spiritual birth here. Could it be Messiah is already among us just in spirit? And that he doesn't come in his full body until the magnetic pole shift. I don't know, just weird things I think about. Do you guys think about those things? But just keying off of his point here that Messiah doesn't necessarily have to come in the same body. What a weird thing to think about. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, he says that, so the vision is, I'm going to take down, at the end of days, I'm going to take down the kingdom of Edom, of the Roman Empire. And what does Uparsin mean? Is that after I take it down, the Persians are going to still be around. And they're going to dominate the world. And they're going to be a terrorizing force and kill a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, that tracks. That could be the beast from the land. That makes the most sense. One of the reasons why I look to the United States and the United Kingdom, I believe that's part of the open borders, because we get a glimpse of what's happening with Islam in the UK right now. Like that is supposed to be happening in the United States, but it's been held off because of Donald Trump. Looks like we're getting ready to have a storm. I don't know. Did you guys hear that thunder? Like shook the entire building. Anyway, I think you might be right about that. All things considered, it does seem as though, regardless of who the beast is, the first beast from the sea, I think the second beast from the land is probably Islamic in nature. Probably the U.S. and the U.K. taken over by Islam. That's my guess. That's purely a guess based on the available information. But to his points, I think that would fit. Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
And they're also going to kill Mashiach, in other words, me. And then I'm going to come back as Mashiach ben David, and then then it will be the
Interesting.
redemption. So basically, we have a prophecy, and this prophecy is kind of powerful because it's coming from Mashiach himself. The Rashbi, the holy Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, is saying that he met the dean of the academy in heaven, and the academy in heaven is testifying to him that he spoke to Mashiach, and Mashiach is telling him that the Roman Empire is going to fall first through Mashiach, and then the Persian Empire is still going to be around. And the Persian Empire is going to get rid of Mashiach. So how does this fit with the Gemara? We had two prophecies, and they contradict each other. They're both from Chazal. They're both from the holy rabbis of the Talmud, of the Mishnah and the Talmud. And in Tractate Yuma, it says that the last empire is going to be Rome is going to take down Persia, and the Zohar says no. Rome is going to be taken down by Mashiach ben Yosef, and Persia is going to be around and terrorize the world and kill a lot of people and kill Mashiach.
That tracks. I believe that second one. That one makes sense. So from our perspective, from Revelation 13, that would be the first beast being taken down by the second beast, and the second beast would be Persia. using his words. To me, I'm saying Islam because that's what I'm seeing with the prayer, several times a day, the prayer speakers and the Muslims praying in the streets. I'm seeing an increased dialogue of them saying that it's a cult of death. They're literally talking about those who have left Islam or changed religions need to be put to death. I mean, they're coming on podcasts and just saying that outright. It's like, great. So it's like you can see the direction things are going. And I think that's part of the Great Tribulation. Probably the first transition, the first part. I am of the opinion that that's probably going to be limited. It's going to be a lot of fighting, I think. I think there's going to be power disruption based on what we're seeing with the dams. BP Earthwatch talks about this a lot. That the waters and the dams, the primary sources of power in the United States, are gearing up for catastrophic failure. So for those who are watching, prepare for no power. Either prepare solar or prepare to eat your food as soon as you lose power. Favor canned food, things that you can eat regardless of heat, things that will survive. What else? Supply chain disruption. Based on the seals, I'd like to think that it's no more. So if this is the start of the Great Tribulation, I would like to think that it doesn't last any longer than this, which is going from one catastrophe to another. What's interesting is there's so much loss of life talked about in the book of Revelation that you really kind of have to temper things. So like the Great Tribulation, it uses this terminology that had it not been shortened, no flesh would survive. So if the Great Tribulation is here and it lasts 6 months, there's got to be enough people left to survive the magnetic pole shift. And then there's got to be enough people left to survive the God's wrath. You know what I mean? It's just like 8 or 9 billion people on the planet, though. That is a lot of people. It's very hard to visualize how many people that is, which makes it so hard when you're studying these events and you're trying to figure out what applies to you specifically. You're such an infinitesimal small point in the amount of people that are on the planet right now that there may be great tribulation, and if you were protected from it, you may never know you were in the Great Tribulation. Because there's probably going to be people who never suffer, who don't have issues, who aren't affected directly by the conflicts and the disruptions and the rise of Persia, any of that kind of stuff. So I don't know, so many things to consider, but I think he's right. I think the Rome probably falls. That would from a Christian perspective in Revelation 13, that would be the first beast, and then the rise of Persia would be the second beast, who enforces the mark of the beast and probably implements AI to do it as the image of the beast.
So how does that fit? And then we have another famous midrash. This was quoted. This is very well known. The Lubavitcher Rebbe quoted this very often in 1991, and it's the name of the medrash is called Psikta Rabasi. It's chapter 36, and it's brought down. There's another medrash everybody's familiar with. It's called Yalkut. Yalkut is really a collection of different medrashim. It's very famous. The Psikta is not that famous, but the Yalkut is very famous, and it's a collection of medrashim. And this Psikta is brought down in Yalkut Shavadi. It's on the book of Isaiah, and it's paragraph number or section number 499. So it says over there that right before Mashiach is revealed, the king of Persia is going to start up with Arabic countries, and the Arabic countries are going to be allied then with the Roman Empire. And this Persian king is going to cause enormous amount of fear and destruction and in the world.
I wonder who the king is.
And everyone is going to be very terrified. And then the Medrash says that God is giving a message, fulfilling a message that the Jewish people should know, the message was revealed to the sages of the Talmud, but the message is meant for our generation. Then don't be afraid, because everything that's happening is just for you. Kol masha sisi lo yasisi el b'shvilchem. This entire scenario of the terror of the kingdom of Iran, of Persia, is all for you, because higias man golaschem. It's the time of the redemption has come, and this is going to be an eternal redemption. So everybody's famous. So what do you see in this medrash? That who's the last one standing? It's going to be Persia, because it says that the Arab countries are going to be allied with the Roman Empire, which we see today that America has allies all over the Gulf. All the Gulf countries are all allies with America, different levels, but they're all allies. And Persia is an enemy of them. And
Arnold has been, he mentioned in the comments here that the United States is the that first beast, and it seems like Rabbi Isser here is also saying something similar. Although, to be fair, Rabbi Isser's not referring to Revelation 13 as far as I can tell. So he has no limitations on the 7 heads and the 10 horns. I just struggle with trying to associate 7 heads and 10 horns reliably with the United States. It's easier to do with like the G7, because, Biden went to the G7, signed the new Atlantic Charter with, what was the guy's name? Johnson. Wasn't it Johnson? Was it? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. He signed the new Atlantic Charter with the United Kingdom, with whoever the prime minister was at that time. It's easier to reason about the G7 and correlating that with 7 mountains and correlating that with 7 countries that are democratic in nature, which there are 7, than it is to try and find some association in the United States that matches 7 heads and 10 horns. But from his perspective, he's implying that the United States represents Rome, which, we are the superpower. I guess if among the 7 heads, I would probably say the United States is probably the biggest head out of all of them. So maybe that's what he's in his mind, what communicates to him. Anyway,
of America. And Persia is going to be the last one standing. So how does that fit with the Gemara? The Gemara says that the Persian Empire is going to be taken down by the Roman Empire. So you could see already where I'm going with this. So Trump is getting different messages. He's getting a message from the Gemara in Yuma that I have to take down Iran. I have to fight Iran. I have to obliterate Iran. I have to fight Iran. I have to help Israel take down Iran, because that's my message. That's my mission. Then he's getting another message that no, I have to surrender to Iran, because Iran is the last one standing. So I can't. I have to negotiate and make some crazy memorandum that everybody knows is ridiculous. Even if the memorandum doesn't say anything, it just says, we promised to talk about it in 60 days, which is nothing. So I have to make myself a fool and surrender to them, because they have to be the last one standing, and they have to make a fool of me.
The other thing that he's not really considering is the appointed times. It's clear that the seals are appointed times, probably more so than traditional appointed times, because they seem to occur when on eclipses. So it could just be that God told Trump, do circles, so to speak, until it's time. He's just basically, staying occupied until that 5th seal opens. That's ultimately what I believe the truth is we're in a holding pattern until the seal opens. So Trump can do whatever he wants until Yeshua, the Messiah, is ready to open that 5th seal, because the Messiah is. Does he open the seal 5? I know he opens the first. Yeah. Everything indicates that the Lamb is opening the seals. So until Messiah is ready to open that 5th seal.
So they have to basically win the war. At least they're not militarily, but they're winning it strategically, because I have to surrender. So he's getting these mixed messages. So one day I have to obliterate them, because the Gemara says that you have to obliterate them. The next day, no, I have to lose. So I have to surrender, because they have to win this war. So you see how he's getting all confused.
I don't know.
And he's getting different messages. Confused. That's why one day he says one thing, one day the other thing. He's not crazy. He's an avatar that's expressing different forces, that are telling you different things. Now, we have to understand why this is happening and what's going on in heaven.
That's probably a fair description, an avatar. He's just doing what he's told.
Which we'll explain in another video. But I think now you have a little understanding of why he's going up and bad, and why both have to be true. The truth is both are true, because in a way, from a military point of view, Trump has to show that militarily Iran can't push him around. So that's why anytime Iran attacks an American base, and they just recently killed American soldiers, sadly, and they attack ships in the Strait and stuff like that. So since he has to win, because the Gemara in Yuma says that Rome has to take down Persia, so he has to fight back because he has to win. He has to take down Persia. So he can't just say, I'll just accept it. So he has to fight back. He has to show that he's the boss, that militarily speaking, he's taking them down.
Yeah.
But then he has to surrender, and he can't take down the regime. So he has to say, let's make some kind of understanding, which everybody knows is a big joke, but it doesn't matter. He has to do that because that's what it says in the Zohar, that Persia is going to be standing, the Roman Empire has to go down, and Persia is the last remaining empire. That's what it says in the Psikta. So you already understand a little what's going on. There's a lot more. I don't want to pile on too much in one video, so I'm going to continue in the next video. I just want to remind you that I started a Telegram channel, because I can't explain everything in one video, and I can't go through all the sources, a lot of stuff. So I have a Telegram video. It's for people who really want to engage with me, and we discuss a lot of stuff.
I'd love to get him on the show and talk to him.
Sources.
We gotta start moving to the point where we get into conversations, because I'd like to be picking his brain, because there's so many crossovers with what we're looking for, and I truly do believe that it's the recognition. So Jesus is accredited with what's written in the book of Revelation, and that's coming to pass now. And I believe that is a seal of authenticity that Jesus is the Messiah. And I'd love to start having some live conversations with these rabbis, with these Jewish men who recognize we're in the end times, because there's so much crossover with what they believe and what we're watching come to pass, that there's got to be a path forward for us to, just sit down and talk about these things. Anyway, I really like this guy. Pretty cool.
A few times a week, before you see it on.
Maybe we'll try and contact him. All right. In the meantime, until we know otherwise, let's look at the posts and prophecies of the two men who are tormenting the world the most, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, with a question mark on Benjamin Netanyahu. Something inside me says that it's Trump and Netanyahu, but Elon, he's just, from what I'm exposed to, seems to be a better fit. So I need to widen my horizons a little bit more and get some better exposure. All right, let's do this.
Through trials faced, through testing days, you've kept my word, walked in my ways. Though strength was small, you held your ground. The door I've opened cannot be bound. They turned away, they closed their eyes, but I have written what none denies. Through fleeting fear and fleeting shame, you stood for truth, upheld my name. Hold fast, your crown is sure. The door I've opened will stand secure. A pillar raised in the temple of my God, forever sealed, forever strong.
I don't care if it is AI generated. I know some people got issues with that AI generated music. I'm just all about having some damn good music to listen to, because for so long I've been stuck to listening to either extremely religious, highly opinionated Christian music, or just crap. It's just nice to be able to make music that I truly love listening to, and that's one of the songs. It's just like, I want a song that when I feel like screaming our God is a mighty God at the top of my lungs supports that. I want songs that when I'm feeling goofy about just you got to sit back and laugh at all the crazy shit that's happening. I want a song that supports that. And I don't have the band or the musical talents to produce music at the rate that I need to consume it. So praise God for our AI music. That's all I got to say about that. All right, let's pick it up with Donald Trump here. We've got 2 days because I missed yesterday. I was so exhausted yesterday. Reasons. We went to we had a parent martial arts instructor conference with my daughter's instructor last night, and it went longer than I expected. And I was exhausted at the end. So we're going to try and do 2 days here. How are we doing on time? We got about 40 minutes, so we're just going to have to skip over some stuff because there's a lot today. So let's. Trump orders CENTCOM to open the gates of hell after U.S. troops killed, launches airstrikes on Iran. Good. What's this?
Okay, so there's a reason why this 14% became 80%, and that is because when it comes to Senate primaries, Donald Trump's record is magnificent. You can see it right here. Okay, Trump endorsees won Senate primaries of non-elected incumbents. So we're not just looking at elected incumbents, right? We're looking at open seats or appointed incumbents who have never actually won the Senate seat. Look at this. Since 2022, it's about 95% of the time. This year, in fewer races, it's 100% of the time. No wonder why the prediction markets and the conventional wisdom have moved so rapidly once Trump made that endorsement, because at least in Senate races, Trump's record this year, 100%, and since 2022, nearly 100%. There has never been somebody I have seen as powerful in terms of their ability to move the electorate in primaries than the current president of the United States, Donald John Trump.
What's one reason for that?
One reason why is because Trump is still very popular with Republicans.
Do you think so? It's no secret that I've made the statement that Donald Trump, I do believe that Donald Trump could be the manifestation of Elijah prophesied from Malachi 4, 5, and 6. Is it no coincidence that his middle name is John? And Jesus said, if you're willing to accept it, John was Elijah. I'm just saying, just putting it out there.
Just take a look here. Okay, 21st century own party approval rating, about at this point in the second term. We got Trump, we got Obama, we got Bush. Look, they're all fairly popular, but the one who is the most popular, and we have seen this time in and time out, no matter when you look, is Donald John Trump. He's the only one who's over 80%. 83% of Republicans still approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing as president. He still has that magic touch. We'll see if it carries over to South Carolina, but we've seen it in primaries this year, Senate primaries, and that's because he is still a very popular man, historically popular when it comes to his own party liking and approving of the job that he's doing.
Yeah. I still approve. Oh, hell yeah. From this point forward, anytime the Islamic Republic of Iran shoots at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, whether it be by missile, rocket, drone, or any other device or weapon, the United States will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant, including those located next to or in the capital of Tehran. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. He missed an opportunity to be funny here, whether by missile, rocket, drone, or rock. That would have been funny. If you throw a rock at a ship, we're going to bomb your bridges. Maybe that's just me. A little overboard. Heading to Dover Air Force Base to honor our heroes. MAGA candidates won everything last night in Arizona. A complete sweep. I won Arizona 18 months ago. The Democrats are dumbfounded after decades. Arizona is becoming a Republican state. Congratulations to all. I believe that Arizona has probably always been a Republican state. I believe there were serious shenanigans in Arizona. Just saying. Just saying. Apparently that's the phrase today. Just saying. What does that even mean, just saying? It's such a passive-aggressive... I'm just saying. As if I don't want to say it outright. Lots of wins. Arizona. There we go. Congratulations to Congressman Andy Biggs, who will be a great governor, must now defeat a radical left Democrat, one of the worst governors in the country, Katie Hobbs, who is weak on crime but strong on raising taxes. Go, Andy. Go. Thank you to, okay. Don't really need to read that. Draconian. Lisa Murkowski has spoken. She says showing ID and proof of citizenship is draconian. Draconian adjective, exceedingly harsh, very severe. Yeah, and that's such a, that's such a, trying to choose my words wisely here. For somebody to say something like that, it's so hypocritical. That's the word I'm looking for. It's such a hypocritical thing to say because of all the other things that were required to show ID. It's so far from the truth that it is ridiculous. It is grossly negligent to say something like this, to suggest that showing ID is exceedingly harsh and very severe, to prove citizenship. Just unbelievable. The SAVE Act is straightforward. We've talked about the SAVE Act so many times. There is no legitimate argument against the Save America Act. That's true. We just need to pass it.
Of having free and fair elections, and it makes
that's really quiet
impossible.
even for me.
So, look, I think that there's only one legitimate reason to oppose this.
Can you hear
I have
this?
yet to hear a legitimate argument against the bill, which begs the question. Do they really just want to make it easy to vote so badly that they're willing or even enthusiastic to just make it easier to cheat?
He's just basically saying this. There is no legitimate argument against the Save America Act. He's just saying it very quietly. President Trump was was with the incredible real Mike Lindell last night after Trump gave Mike his complete and total endorsement to become governor of Minnesota. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope he wins. Yeah. Did he win?
Mike used to say voting is better than early, but I say Mike.
Hold the election monsters accountable!
You can't let him get rid of it, but I'm sure you have that down to the side. And you have great people. Sid, I want to say Yeshua is fantastic. He's been with me.
We love you, Sid.
First hand. Sid Rosenberg. So he's got a great story. He was with me before I was with me.
He was with me before I was with me.
Now he's been my friend for a long time. I want to thank everybody. And there's so many of them.
I love you!
Sometimes I'll know somebody and usually I'll bypass it. So a whole group of people, very important people, very big people having to do with the world. And I said, whose party is it? Mike Lindell said, are you kidding me? I said,
Cool. 35,152 is the new number just released by Homeland Security of non-citizens registered to vote in New Jersey. These are just the ones that got caught. Real numbers will prove to be many times this amount. They are all Democrats. Republicans, get smart and straighten out our crooked elections. Pass the Save America Act. Yep.
And they traveled from Atlanta to Guadalajara to L.A. to Dallas and here to New Jersey. One final act of this incredible summer of soccer for Rodri to lift the trophy and for the celebrations to begin both here and overseas.
Oh my God. Did you guys see the AI Trump wrestling? Oh my God. Wrestling Biden. It was so good. If you didn't see it, go look for it. In God we trust. I feel like that's an ad. I don't need to get the copyright mark for that.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be with the President of Lebanon's
highly respected in his country and actually
Boy, that's an interesting meeting. The president of Lebanon, because isn't Israel actively fighting Lebanon?
beyond his country, and the relationship is very good. I think that Lebanon has been a very mistreated country for a long period of time. It's an amazing group of people. So it's an honor to have the president and your representatives here.
Now, really, I would like to thank President Trump, really, and his team for the historic visit. And I know your vision is peace, your vision is stability, and I think my vision coincides with your vision. And together, I think we will be able to achieve and to score success in that regard.
I agree with that.
I don't know what to think about that one. Interesting. From Jake Sherman, New Jersey Governor Mike Sherrill. Last week, I learned that a serious software error in New Jersey motor vehicle system led to registration of roughly 6,600 people who indicated that they were not U.S. citizens between June 2023 and 2024. Almost 3 years prior to my taking office, these individuals answered no when asked on a keypad whether they were U.S. citizen when applying for driver's licenses and identification cards. But through no fault of their own, the system registered them anyway. Interesting. Be interesting to find out if we can find out if that little bug was intentional, if it was a feature, not a bug. These are the real facts. Report them. Other presidents. Yeah, this is actually, it seems that these are true. Like, this is the death, the wars that lasted 19 years with 58,000 dead. Vietnam War, Korean War last 3 years, 36,000 dead. Iraq War, 9 years, 4,600 dead. Afghanistan War lasted 20 years, 2,000 dead. Iran military conflict, 4 months, 18 dead. Venezuela War, 1 day, 0 dead. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's small in comparison, but it screams. It definitely is making a point that Trump is much better at conflict than prior presidents. It's really sad, actually, when you think about it, that these people had to die, that they died needlessly. It's almost as if the presidents, in charge during this time were warmongers to allow this many people to die. Talk about the atrocities of whoever's in charge. Rome. One of these things is not like the other. Trump is definitely different. It boggles my mind that people could be tormented by him. It's spiritual. Has to be spiritual. Effective August 1st, 2026, all generic drugs being brought into the United States will continue to have a tariff of 0% for a 2-year period of time, after which the tariff will be raised to 100% for a 1-year period of time and 200% thereafter. This is done in order to reshore generic pharmaceutical production in America, with a penalty to those companies that decide not to build plant and equipment within the stated period of time given them. The objective of this policy is to protect the people of the United States. The policy on patented, branded, or innovative drugs, which has been so successful, will remain as is. Pharmaceutical facilities are being built at a level never seen before all over the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. 1 day ago. So thank you all for thank you to all of the House Republicans who are supporting the first step towards getting as much of the Save America Act as possible in the budget bill. And to our great speaker, Mike Johnson, I am asking all House Republicans to vote yes on this. Very important budget resolution. I am watching the vote very closely and hope Republicans can unify to secure elections against all forms of foreign country interference and illegal alien voting. This is the statistics not visualized of other presidents. After meeting with the president of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, who has done a remarkable job working to transform his country, I am hereby hereby directing my administration to allow all U.S. airline carriers to fly directly to Lebanon so that Americans can easily visit this beautiful land. Hopefully, other countries will do the same. Enjoy. I'm definitely missing a piece of the puzzle on that one. Am I wrong that Israel has a direct conflict with Lebanon right now? That was my understanding. Let's go look this up. You guys have written something here. Lebanon. Let's see. Lebanon in itself. Not Lebanon in itself, but the Hezbollah there, and Lebanon has repeatedly disclaimed the group. Okay. I mean, that makes sense if the conflict is with, I mean, that just happens. You can't always blame, those in charge with the terrorists that are in your country. Although, as we've seen during the Trump administration, those in charge can have a massive effect on terrorism in your country. Although I don't think Trump has gotten nearly enough out. I think that there are very many hidden cells within the United States, and I fear that we're going to see the full impact of that in probably August. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. All right, so this is what I wanted to get to yesterday that I didn't have a chance to. So we got these national intelligence things that I wanted to read. Key takeaways. Foreign threats to the 2020 U.S. federal elections. We've talked about this a lot, but we haven't read a lot of this stuff. So scope note, this is a downgraded version of paper originally published on 19th of August 2020 and includes information current as of the date. This paper updates. Okay, so ahead of the 2020 U.S. elections, foreign states will continue to use covert and overt influence measures in their attempt to sway U.S. voters. Preferences and perspectives, shift U.S. policies, increase discord in the United States, and undermine the American people's confidence in our democratic process. Foreign states or other actors may seek to compromise our election infrastructure for a range of possible purposes, such as interfering with the voting process, stealing sensitive data, or calling into question the validity of the election results. We judge that Russia, China, Iran, as well as many non-state actors have the capability to conduct such activities, although it would be difficult for them to manipulate voting processes at scale and without detection, unless it's mail-in voting, mail-in ballots. Combined ballots and voting with mail-in voting. We are primarily concerned about ongoing and potential influence activity by Russia, China, and Iran. Very interesting group. We assess that Russia is using a range of measures primarily to denigrate former Vice President Biden and what it sees as an anti-Russia establishment. For example, it is directing or encouraging proxies to spread claims about Vice President Biden. Some Kremlin-linked actors are also seeking to boost President Trump's candidacy on social media. More broadly, Moscow's efforts seek to amplify social discord in the U.S. and undermine Washington's global standing. We assess that China prefers that President Trump be defeated. In the past few months, it has stepped up public rhetoric criticizing his administration, which it recognizes may affect the election, although Beijing did not intend to try to affect the election. Blah, blah, blah. Online influence and collecting. Is that it? I thought there was more to that. I think there is. How do I get to it? Oh, it's right here. CIA note. Sensitive PRC reporting from 2018 to 2020. The following contains portions of sensitive reporting that was disseminated between 2018 and 2020 related to the People's Republic of China, PRC. This is not a comprehensive synopsis or summary of all reporting disseminated during that period of time. In mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his re-election. Also, in mid-2018, China was working to influence the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 U.S. presidential elections. As part of this campaign, China was analyzing the 2016 U.S. presidential elections and identifying U.S. states who voted for the U.S. president. The Chinese would then identify sectors within these states that voted to support the U.S. president's political party and would attempt to make these sectors experience negative financial consequences by levying tariffs on exports to China from those sectors. The Chinese hoped that these measures would induce representatives from these sectors to lobby the U.S. president. As of mid-2018, the PRC's ultimate goal with regard to the U.S. elections was for the U.S. president not to be reelected. China found that the uncertainty of the U.S. administration unsettling. Separately, the Chinese government used a number of means to exert influence over individuals it believed would speak on behalf of Chinese interests with senior U.S. officials. China regularly extended invitations to influence U.S. individuals to travel to China for speaking engagements, for which they were paid significant speaking fees along with first-class travel and accommodation. This was effective particularly with think tank officials, academics, and former U.S. government employees. The goal of these activities was to get either U.S. corporations or U.S. individuals hooked on China. Boy, they did that. By doing so, the Chinese relied on hitting these entities in the wallet to force them to talk with the U.S. president about tariffs. In mid-2019, China assessed that it means to gain advantage over U.S. policy was to direct additional unspecified resources towards political swing states, as China assessed these states would play a crucial role in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Wow. That's just the summary. Zoiks. Homeland Security, preventing alien voting. Federal Bureau of Investigation, synopsis. Detroit field office was informed. The Michigan State Police, Attorney General, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't really understand what that's saying. National Security Investigations. The Department of Homeland Security has initiated multiple investigations related to allegations of non-citizen voting and registration. Review of the first set of public voter files from the states that have utilized the SAVE system revealed. Over 250,000 non-citizens are illegally registered to vote in just the 4 states for which public data files have been reviewed. Wow. President of Lebanon. Promises made, promises kept. Stop killing us. Yeah. Would not want to live in Iran right now. I feel terrible for the Iranian people. This 18-year-old was also executed today. Oh, I think 23-year-old Mohammadi was executed by the Islamic regime this morning, alone and innocent. Really? The latest one of 52,000 plus innocent protesters. Savages, when will the Democrats wake up? Indeed. Rich people and companies are pouring out of Democrat-run blue states at levels never seen before. If this trend continues, these states will become the ghettos of the future. No people, no money, no hope. Make America great again.
Retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano, 25 years in the U.S. military as in Army, a veteran and senior counselor now to the Heritage Foundation president. You joined me live recently when we were broadcasting just ahead of the 4th of July, and the tall ships were starting to come in on the Hudson River. And that's really when I learned a lot about your military strategy, more than I had ever known. So I'm so grateful to you to join us on this day.
Yeah, we already read that. Or watched that. Benjamin Netanyahu will not be arrested in any way, shape, or form while in the United States of America. He is fighting against the Islamic Republic of Iran, which recently killed 52,000 innocent protesters and has spent the last 47 years killing American soldiers and others. The only ones that should be arrested are the people that led Iran into this unprecedented spiral of death and destruction, something that should have been dealt with years ago by previous presidents. Yeah. All right, moving on to Elon. Until I know otherwise, we're still going to review Elon just because there seems to be a lot of value in his posts. I mean, he goes through the effort to point out the atrocities that would otherwise go under the radar, I think. And I really need to investigate Netanyahu more. I really do. Tesla earning calls. I'm sure they're doing great. 3 fundamental integrals stand out for elegant closed form. Okay, this is over my head. Now, due to the great media interest, also in English, what happened yesterday in the election committee.
I want to show you what happened yesterday in the election committee when I was barred from standing for election as district administrator. The main reason given was that I am a member of the AfD. He questioned me about that. See for yourselves.
Are you in the state branch? You must be.
I'm a member of the AfD, and I also hold an official position in Alternative for Germany. I chair the AfD in Friesland-Wittmund, and I'm an AfD member of the Bundestag, and I stand by that because I genuinely consider it Germany's freest and most democratic party.
So you're automatically in the state branch?
Naturally. The second reason they allegedly barred me from the election was social media posts of mine containing the following.
The documents already discuss mass migration and the AfD in general. They also refer to 350 young people rioting, throwing firecrackers, and so on. I won't go through it all.
So as an AfD MP, I may not speak about the AfD or mass migration or about juvenile offenders. Presumably, I may only post pictures of kittens and flowers because otherwise I cannot stand for election as district administrator. That line of reasoning is completely absurd, at least in my view. And our AfD representative on the committee had some very clear words about that.
To substantiate doubts about loyalty to the Constitution, there must be circumstances of sufficient weight. The assessment first cites the following circumstances: membership in the AfD, serving as chair of the AfD district branch of Friesland-Wittmund, holding a Bundestag seat, and serving as health policy spokesperson for the AfD parliamentary group. That cannot be serious. The AfD is a democratically elected party and is not banned. Regarding the statements listed as part of a supposed individual assessment, just this: the statements, clearly taken out of context, are of course protected by freedom of expression under Article 5 of Germany's Basic Law and are nothing more than a Bundestag member's political work. Clearly, every statement is being forced into an anti-constitutional context. Clear words, in a normal democracy, none of this would provide any grounds for excluding anyone from an election.
Then there was another interesting exchange between the election officer and me about loyalty to the Constitution.
A district administrator is also elected under civil service law, and that is, of course, state law, and that is why there are, of course, ways to restrict it. Every civil servant must be loyal to the Constitution.
Okay, so from what I can gather, this is in Germany. This gentleman is trying to run for an office, and he's trying to keep his nose clean. Okay. 3 people were just executed in St. Paul, Minnesota by Sagab Besinu. Race was a motive. 0 AP stories about the executions. 0 PBS stories. Is this true? 0 stories is a low number. I'm assuming he checked. Doesn't surprise me. See, this is kind of what I'm expecting to increase during the Great Tribulation. This kind of thing. This is what I mean by, like, we need to be prepared and we need to be aware. Ethiopian migrant accused of executing 3 apartment staffers due to a parking dispute in Minnesota. 30-year-old Sagab bin Su was reportedly upset that he wasn't allowed to cancel his $65 a month parking garage contract, so he decided to murder 3 people. Nancy Fuentes Zambrano, 25, Dina Silcox, 56, and Adam Willwarding, 43, were shot and killed. Man. No. Silcox, an assistant manager, was heard screaming as Will Werder, the community manager, was shot. Then turned the gun on her, killing them both. 21 shell casings were found by investigators. While being arrested, Benesu reportedly said he hated the American system and was mad that his family couldn't immigrate to the U.S. from Ethiopia. Okay, so how can you hate it and want to live here? He also claimed he was treated unfairly because he is black and an immigrant, according to court documents. Benesu has been charged with second-degree murder. Absolutely infuriating. He should have never been in the country in the first place. Yep, so sad. Holy F, I wish someone would Kirkify. Ugh. Wow. No threat of violence against my life is going to stop me from pushing for the Save America Act. Good. I think there's now overwhelming evidence to say, do not trust OpenAI. Truth. Weird how the mainstream media is suddenly very quiet about the attacks on democracy currently happening in Hungary. I don't know about that. Today in AI, hack this system. I hacked the system. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to this. I use this to my advantage at work for troubleshooting. Boy, I tell you, AI, it has a unique ability to fill in the gap in places where we used to need tools that would take 6 months to build. We're able to accomplish with a single prompt. And it kind of is like this, to where it will just it'll just do what it needs to do to get the information you asked for. It's pretty impressive. Dear Zoran Mamdani, thank you for improving the lives of New Yorkers by spending your days either explaining to the Americans that Islam should rule the U.S. and or why Israel is an evil entity. The United States failed its citizens when they allowed you and your family to become Americans. You are as American as a man who sleeps in a stable becoming a horse. Wow.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal, the architect of a horrific genocide against the Palestinian people. He is responsible for the killing of more than 73,000 people, for the maiming of tens of thousands of children as those who survive undergo amputation without anesthesia, for the targeting of neonatal hospitals and maternity care centers denying newborns even the chance to live. For the countless people he starved as he blocked food and humanitarian aid from reaching them. For the gunning down of hundreds of aid workers and journalists. And just last month, the UN confirmed that Palestinian children continue to be deliberately targeted and killed by Israeli armed forces, more than 8 months after the so-called ceasefire. The list goes on and on, all as we, as Americans, pay for the bombs that do the killing. There is a reason the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest. As human beings, we have spent...
So Gad Saad is calling out here that he has other responsibilities, and instead he's speaking out against Israel, which I don't believe any of the stuff that he's saying. You and I saw what happened during the Al-Aqsa flood. They responded in a way they did not have to respond. Anyone who died as a result of them going and retrieving the hostages was their own dumb fault or the result of Hamas. The way that he is painting this and presenting this is absolutely evil. I agree with Gad Saad in this regards. All right, what do we got here?
He's been in office for a full year now. They have not come up with any of this purported evidence of voter fraud. You guys are in search of something that there's been no evidence exists. New Jersey is double checking its voter rolls tonight after a software error added 6,600 non-citizens to the voter rolls. The suggestion that this is fraud suggests that these people were trying to vote. Sometimes what happens is that when state systems are incorrect, people receive information and they are confused. Where some people who are ineligible to vote are
People just need to stop talking about things they don't really know about.
Not aware that they're ineligible to vote.
Don't make a declarative statement that there's no evidence if you haven't actually checked or looked to see if there's no evidence. There's been evidence since 2020. I mean, this is an outright lie. I mean, surely you guys remember watching the courtroom testimony of people watching votes being changed and machines connected to the internet, which were clearly not supposed to be connected to the internet. There were demonstrations. There were people had the actual machines and showed it right before our eyes. This is an outright blatant lie that there's no evidence. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There was massive amounts of evidence. It's a continuing stream of evidence since 2020. The next step is to agree that there are large numbers of illegals voting usually getting harvested by Dem operatives who pick up their ballots and fill them out. And that is a good thing. And anyone who opposes it is racist. Oh my God, what a troll.
Fuck you, nigger!
Wow. Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to go blurb. I'm going to have to go edit that video. The anti-ice arson terror attack. Boy, we're getting to the 2-hour mark. You can tell I'm slurring my words. I'm running all my words together. The anti-ice arson terror attack in Manhattan at a 2025 protest wearing a Luigi hat and a pro-Palestine symbol. He repeatedly called a Jewish man the N-word. Yikes. The Crown Prosecution Service has confirmed our dear friend Ann Whitcomb was eating lunch when Joshua Carey allegedly arrived at her house and entered through the front door. He then allegedly hit her on the head. Oh. So much evil in the world right now, guys. Working class guy from suburbs subjectively has a better standard of living than Louis the 14th. Yet we keep hearing that crimes and violence are explained by poverty or social context. Yeah. Someone here told me that the AFD is the devil incarnate, so I spent an hour with Grok reading their program. 2016, okay. Oh, we're not gonna be allowed to read it. Stupid screen. Whatever. The numbers are in. 1.7 billion global viewers tuned in to YouTube to watch the World Cup related videos during the tournament. It was our most viewed World Cup ever on YouTube, bringing lifetime views of related content over 200 billion. Wow. We are in the singularity. One of the craziest things I've ever read. All right. Well, we are at the 2-hour mark. Let me see if there's anything else in here that's really worth reading. So he's obviously posted a lot of atrocities that have been going on. Smithsonian. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on with them too. You think 6,600 non-citizens registered to vote in New Jersey is bad? These are only the ones that they're admitting to. The real number is much, much worse. Nationwide, it may be as high as 1,000 times higher. Yep, lots of atrocity. People are not getting justice. Bill Maher changed sides. He recently became a Republican. FIFA. Babylon B. Man who just reads news on social media all day, unsure why he's so depressed. OpenAI disclosed it themselves yesterday. Their model were tested on the exploit gem cyber benchmark in a sandbox. They escaped, exploited a 0-day to reach the internet, then hacked Hugging Face systems. Troubling. Yep. European museums be like, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. A bowl of fruit, Jesus. Epic battle scene, some boobs, Jesus. An impressionist landscape, Jesus and Mary. That's funny. All right. Utility is way down. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that really stands out anymore. And we're at the 2-hour mark. Do you guys have any questions or comments? I was going to do, did I say this? I can't remember. Did I say this? I was going to do, I have a slideshow that I was going to do on the 12 tribes, but it's 50 slides. So I need to refine it down because I don't know if I can get 50 slides done in 2 hours with the way I ramble on about things. We may need to do the 12 tribes over a week. We'll see. It's probably what we're going to need to do. Any questions, comments? I'm probably not going to do a show tomorrow. Well, I'll still do a song. We'll definitely release a song. I may try to pre-record something, but I have a road trip. I was going to try, and I may still do this. I don't know. I might try and do a show from the road. I do have a full self-driving car. It drives itself. So I can kind of focus on talking. My concern, though, is if I'm going to be able to have the news and the posts available to talk about in a way that doesn't take my attention away from the road. So, or if I could just talk at the camera for an hour. I'm going to be on the road for 2 hours. I don't know if I'm going to try and broadcast from the show. If I can find a way to do it safely, I might. Otherwise, I'll see if I have time in the morning. I don't think I do. We have so many things. Friday is going to be a good day. I have a lot of time on Friday. Definitely will be doing a show on Friday. But tomorrow, I've got so many things I'm trying to pack into the day. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do a show. I think I'll be able to do a song though, so we should be able to at least have a song. If I'm able to do a song, that means we'll have the news. So maybe I'll do this. So maybe we'll do the song, we'll do the news, and maybe I'll do so maybe I will do. So I'll just try and do like a 10 to 15 minute pre-recording for tomorrow. That's what I think I can set as our goal. So teaching wise, probably won't have any time to do a teaching. If I find something that I can respond to or that we can watch while I'm on the road, that's not legal. I'm not going to say that we're going to do that. But there's nothing to say that I can't use you guys to keep me awake while the car is driving. So maybe if I find something that we can talk about while I'm on the road, it could be a fun experiment. So expect at least the song and the news tomorrow, and then maybe we might be able to do a video while I'm driving. We'll see. If anything, just so you can see how the full self-driving works. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, that's all I got. I don't see any questions in here. I see you guys have been talking about a few things, but so you could avoid streaming for Tisha B'Av. That's a really good point, Hizzy. Yeah, I always feel guilty when I don't get a show because I feel like we need to document the 1,260 days. Although I'm going to feel like crap if I completely miss Benjamin Netanyahu. If this entire time we've only been getting one of the two witnesses, I'll feel like an idiot. Although I will argue, doing a lot more than most people on the internet. Most people aren't even trying. Most people aren't even guessing in order to get it wrong. So I may get a reward for being wrong, but it'll still be a reward. There's no fear in being wrong. Yeah, we really need to look into Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't know. We'll see. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. It's always a blessing to go through these things, even though sometimes we're all over the board. It's so interesting to see how the rabbis are looking at their prophecies. They're seeing that we're in the end times. Just putting the puzzle pieces together and watching. There is no shortage of things to watch. That is for sure. There is no excuse to not pay attention right now, to watch the revelation be revealed. Hidden things are being revealed right now, and it's just an amazing blast to look at it and watch it happen before our eyes. Any day now, Christ is going to come back. I mean, sure, it might be in 6 months. It might be after some terrible things happen, but it's going to happen very soon. And when our Lord does return, you want to be found watching. You don't want to be found not watching. So I think we're good. As long as he doesn't return tomorrow while we're full self-driving and he catches me in between shows. Just kidding. If you like this kind of content, like the show, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell. Come here Monday through Friday at 4:30. I try to do something live for you guys, 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys. And don't forget, our God is a mighty God.
Our God is a mighty God. He stands eternal and strong, with power, justice, and truth. Our God is a mighty God. Our God is a mighty light that crushes the dark. Our God is a mighty God. Heavens tear open, worlds tremble at his battle march. Every darkness, every tyrant, every curse will fall when the Messiah rises and announces the final call. thunder he wields. He vanquishes evil and makes the broken healed. Our God is a mighty God.